Comes out your son. You burn the swine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb. Cause them heart not kind. Comes, I say them heart not kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Redder.
Never know, never know, never know. Oh, money, never money, never money, never money, never money, money. I know what you can I do. Money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep your conniving money when you've been out for a phone. In a bit there'll be money. Now because your money gone, you can break conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bit there'll be money. Now because your money gone, you hustle to tell me money. Money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now know what you can I get money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me want. A 2 pound note and I get a piece. A 2 pound note and I get a piece. A 2 pound note and I get a piece. This is all the money that me want. Money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. And I know what you can I make money.
Well, I invoke the WP's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government. And on that grounds, I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Gaddafi Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge on the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge on the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, poor people governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Brendan Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Morning, peace be unto you, namaste, buenos dias, bonjour, yes, I almost forgot my Portuguese there. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I'm your host, the Boxtonian Kidaki Amsterdam. It is 7 hours 28. I am not late, I am always deliberate. I gave you an opportunity to listen to all of that wisdom that we shared yesterday. I see Miss Horan Cork
Marcella Douglas Hohenkirk. That's a double barrel there. Douglas Hohenkirk. She's a married woman. Good morning, Mrs. Hohenkirk. Right? You want to know what I'm talking about, right? That double barrel name there. Douglas Hohenkirk. Douglas might be a maiden name which he refused to get rid of. Some people don't want to lose contact with their roots at all. Some people have so much respect for their names, their family names, because their family names are recognizable and their family names have value. You know, it got sway, and so they hold on to that family name. But because you married a man, you know why you feel too bad, like your name worthless. So you take his name. So you have, most cases you end up with that double barrel. Douglas Hohenkirk as an example. Or sometimes you'll be married before. Maybe this is a good girl where you say wife material, right? Sometimes you'll be married before. And so you don't get rid of your first marital title. You keep it. And so you become Hohenkirk Douglas or Douglas Hohenkirk, whatever it is. I remember as I'm talking about that, my former good friend and colleague, she's now deceased, may you so rest in peace, Namila. Right? Namila used to humor us. Right? Her name was, what did she say? Namila, Henry, Baines, a whole long list. But another person I remember humoring us, quite frankly, with all of our surnames, is former Minister of Housing, Valerie Patterson, right? As a communication officer at the Department of Public Information, when you wrote about that minister, you had to write all of her names. You had about 4 of them. I can't remember all of them. Right? She said she was that sweet. She had many husbands. Right? 2 or 3 of them. I don't remember the whole story. But why did I do that? Because I'm teaching. I always teach. And when every moment should be used as a teachable moment. A lot of you see people with 2 surnames and so on, and you just think it's 2 surnames. There's a story behind those surnames usually. And we call them double-barreled names. Right? Double-barreled names. So, Douglas Hohenkirk, you can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere along the way with you there, right? And I hope you're not offended. Good, because some people take offense at little or nothing. How was your yesterday? How was your today? How you spent last night? You slept alone or you had company? Hey, yes. I hope you had a productive day yesterday. I hope you were able to do things that will truly lead toward your emancipation. Note I said lead toward your emancipation because I have a seriously with this emancipation thing, you know. And we're going to talk about that this morning. Are we really emancipated in apartheid Guyana? Good. So I hope you took steps towards your emancipation. It's a joke. I'm going to tell you a story just now. You know I like knock people under the belt, right? Yes, so hope you made some money. I hope you were able to remain healthy. You took decisions that, will contribute to your health. Shelly, a jealous girl, or you could have company and it's that me. Yeah? Don't get beside. So, listen, give me blow, don't let me know. Alright? Good. That's if you don't know, it's not blow. So don't let me know. Good, do your thing, but no, Shelly man, you see I got me tearing up here, girl. What's your problem this morning? It's Thursday though, it's not Free Talk Friday. Yes, so I'm saying I hope you made some money. I hope you were able to empower not only yourselves, but your family members and by extension your community. Because empowerment matters. Empowerment matters. And until we empower ourselves, or unless we empower ourselves, nobody's going to empower us for us. We have to empower ourselves. Right? And until we really empower ourselves, we can't talk about freedom with any real degree of seriousness. Right? You can't talk about freedom of take any real debate seriously. How many of us can get up this morning and make breakfast without looking at our plate and saying, this plantain come from Puerto Rico. Hey, this fish is the Indian man from Annandale make it. Tomatoes come from Annandale Market. Milk? There is no black man that imports milk in this country. At least I think so. I've never heard of any. Your cheese? What black man imports cheese in this country? These are some serious questions you need to ask, because in the Caribbean, governments are talking about food safety. You think food safety is only a national matter or international matter? Food safety has to start within the home. Food safety and security. Are we food secure? Are we food safe? Where are we getting our supplies from to eat on a daily basis? How many of us still have farms in the backlands of our communities? I can tell you of the days when farm produce used to come from Buxton back dam. As they say, the boats were loaded to the gunwale. Where's the gunwale of a boat? I want to believe it's the top of that boat there. You know the boat has its shape on the top, the very top of the boat. Right? The water line, if that boat is really, really loaded, it barely is, the top is barely above the water line. I think that's what they call the gunwale. I'm not sure, I didn't check that particular definition. I just remembered it. Right? Yes. So the gunwale. I remember seeing produce coming out of Buxton back there, boats loaded to the gunwale. The slightest thing slightest shake, it takes in water. Slightest shake, it takes in water. Buxton spice, long mango, cassava. Well, let me just say generally gum provision. And that used to come from Turning backwards. We got placed in Turning Point. But in the old way, the ancestors used to name things in a musical way, quite frankly. Turning, right? Or Turning. Right, there you go to Turning. And back from Turning all the way to them empolas, pineapple empolas and so on, was food Rastafari, long-term food. From provision farms, or plots, whatever you want to call them. Planting a banana from Nagdag. Closer to home, you had the cash crops, them 6 weeks crop. Almost every household had a garden. You have to run over to another market for everything you want to eat. Yard fowl running around the yard. You get good Creole eggs. You get 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7, 8 fowls, hens, calling on you to hatch at the same time. I'm taking you back to a place when you had food security and safety in your communities, in our communities. Right? How many of you remember you had to soak the hens, catch them and dunk them in water like 3, 4, 5 days, sometimes all week, just so that they will get out of that heat and go back to taking, wow, that one was a song load. Go back to taking threading. For Caucus thread hen, go back to getting thread so that it can lay and not sit on eggs to hatch. Sometimes you got more than 3, 4, 5 hens wanting to hatch. The homemaker, your mother, grandmother, They don't want all of those hens hatching at the same time, because it means they will have less eggs to sell and eat. Or they simply didn't have the capacity to rear all of the chicks that will be produced by these 8 or 10 hens, or how many. Do you remember that? Hey, you are not going to get a bring peace time for me. Take 2 of fine pepper and we pepper. Or bring 2 tiger teeth. Bring some lime leaf, let me clean this fish. It's not only a reminiscent conversation I'm having, but I'm having a conversation with you to tell you that there was a time when we, as a community, the African Guyanese community, had food safety and security in this country. Our ancestors made it possible. Regardless of how old they got, some of them used to sit on benches in the garden to pull grass. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Dungs used to lick dog in Buxton. Every year you could go and pick dungs. We used to call them ice-apple dungs. A lot of dungs. You all remember ice-apple dungs? You all remember monkey apple? Every child going home from school could have gone to some abandoned land and pick monkey apples and go home and eat monkey apple with milk and sugar. Beringham soursop, y'all remember that? Beringham soursop is touted to be the sweetest soursop. I'm not just taking you down memory lane, I'm taking you to a time when y'all used to produce what y'all eating. GMC used to come into your communities and buy hogs. Where's the hog? Reminds me, the old lady and the young boy traveling in the bus. Indian woman, black man. And the big lady, young. And the black boy said, oh granny, like you want to swallow me. She thought to her and she said, oh boy, me not yam hog. Right? Oh boy, me not yam hog. But on a serious, remember when our communities used to be able to supply the Ghana Marketing Corporation with pigs, among other livestock from our communities? Remember when our men used to go to the interior and come back with enough money from gold? But when you look at the communities now, you'll be convinced that we have lost our way. And when I talk about these hard facts, I don't care who vex. I usually say who vex news. Because education is supposed to change your attitude. So it's about spirit. Yes. Education is supposed to change your attitude for the better. Note I say for the better. Education is not supposed to make you worse off. But the problem in our communities, as I see it, is that as we become more educated, we act more foolishly. Am I knocking our doctors and professors and lawyers and people with master's degree in this and master's in that? No. I'm not knocking them. The ancestors valued education. That is why they built schools after they bought plantations. They value religion, and that is why they built churches after they bought plantations. But where are we today? Are the churches serving our purposes in our communities? What do you expect a church, the role of a church is in a community? A church is supposed to be for upliftment, right? But for the greater part, when you look in the African Guyanese communities, and I get a little bad, I'm going to bad attack some people here right now. Have you ever seen a black Hindu priest? Have you ever seen a black Hindu priest? I never did. What they call the Muslims, Meji, I can't remember. Imam. I think I've seen some black imams. But I've never seen a black Hindu priest. But our Christian churches now are filled with Indian pastors and priests. So who is bringing the doctrine to you? My black brothers and sisters, who is bringing the doctrine to you? Can they relate to your experiences when they are bringing the doctrine to you? The very churches that were built in these communities by the ancestors for your upliftment, for our upliftment, I imagine, are now the very churches that are being used to oppress us. Because for a greater part, the hierarchy of the church don't even represent us. Are the priests and pastors in your community churches engaging in mediation? Do they concern themselves with what is happening in the community? Do they on a daily basis perhaps walk the community and talk with people to see where the community is hurting, to see where families are hurting, and bring the church together to assist them out of their difficulties? That was part of the role of the church in the past. Now for the greater part here, yeah, you know, as one pastor said, brothers and sisters, brethren and sisters, you don't expect your shepherd to travel in a minibus among the sinners. You want your shepherd to remain pure and clean. And so it's necessary that you contribute through the special collection for your shepherd to get a high-end car. But didn't the gospel tell your shepherd to go among the sinners and try to, what should I say, redeem their souls? Y'all think I'm being lighthearted this morning, right? I'm very serious about some of the things I'm talking to you about now. Like I always am serious. Because when you talk about emancipation, I went quickly to Google, you know, I didn't ever do no deep research. Here's what Google tells me about emancipation. Emancipation generally means to free a person from a previous restraint or legal disability. A previous restraint or legal disability. More broadly, it is also used for efforts to procure economic and social rights, political rights or equality, often for a specifically disenfranchised group or more generally in discussion of many matters. Let me read that again for you. Emancipation generally means to free a person from a previous restraint or legal disability. More broadly, it is also used for efforts to procure economic and social rights, political rights or equality, often for a specifically disenfranchised group or more generally in discussion of many matters. So the question remains, are we emancipated in apartheid Guyana? Is there social justice for us in this society? Is there economic justice for us in this society? What about political justice? Are you experiencing that? You see, when our ancestors were enslaved, they have no voting rights. They were not allowed many freedoms such as marriage to a person of their choice and bargaining for fair wages and salaries, freedom of movement, right? Those are some of the rights, those are some of the restrictions they encountered and were subjected to as enslaved Africans. But then emancipation came. They fought and they won their freedom. Oh, glorious morning! Glorious morning! Emancipation bill go pass. Back when man say eat and grass. In other words, we gonna come free. And those who are sucking our blood, sweat and tears to fatten themselves, they're gonna starve unless they come with the right price. Because we're not going to tend their plantations. Those were the sentiments of the enslaved Africans as they put freedom morning. And they got freed and they bought plantations and they developed them and they developed communities and they established farmlands for their self-sufficiency. And they invested in education. And our children became educated. And I said it before and I'm saying it now. Many of us who have education at the tertiary level cannot function, cannot think critically, cannot reason as well as many of our ancestors who had a third grade education. So the question of how education has served many of us. If big up we ego, we push up our chest. I'm a doctor of law. I'm a doctor of business administration. How have I used that to empower first and foremost those people who made the sacrifices for me to be able to puff up my chest and talk about I'm a doctor of this and a doctor of that? How have I used it? What we did with that education? We left our communities. We left our foreparents. We left the providence that they made for us. So the firms that provided for us and made it possible for us to get higher education, we now look at disdainfully. This back-breaking work. It is better to sit in a air-conditioned room somewhere being mastered by somebody. So before we do the back-breaking work that our parents did to give us an education, we rather sit in a different form of slavery and watch their sacrifices go to the dogs. Because as they educate us, we move out from rural to urban. We move out from the villages to the cities. We want to be tomboy and girl. We want to rub shoulders with the red-skinned Negroes and the Portuguese and the mulattoes. The villages are no longer good for us. And so there is no manpower to help our parents and foreparents man the farms and continue to produce so that we can remain self-sufficient. And so the old folks are going day by day, and they're tending the farm. But as they age, as their energies wane, they're producing less and less less and less and less. And then a day comes when they can't produce anymore. And when they die, the farm dies with them, because the true inheritors of those farms are no longer in the communities. And even if they're in the communities, they got jobs in the city. And they ain't got no time with farm, because when they don't work 6 days a week or 5 days a week from Massa in a different farm, they ain't got the energy and the time to go to the farmlands and to tend to that which the ancestors laid grounds on. And so the farm dies with our ancestors. Since we ain't got time to come from work and run in the back dam and reap 2 cassava or 2 arrow or 2 plantain, we want to Body Market, Big Market, Annandale Market, Lusignan Market, and we buy what other people are producing because they have stuck to the farm. And we talk about how free we are. How free can we be when we depend on other people to feed us? How free can we be when we depend on other people to empower us economically? Because if your new master don't offer you a job from which you can get a salary, you can't eat. Because you don't have money to buy what you need to eat. If your new master offers you a job that underpays you, then it's a different form of entrapment, because you're going around the wheel like a hamster. I am going to work every day. I have to find passage every day. I have to find food every day to sustain me while I'm at work. But when I get my paycheck, it doesn't match my efforts. It can't pay my bills. I live in debt. And so I become a pawn to the economic system which was designed to keep me in debt. Meanwhile, the other man gets educated to some degree or other, sticks to his farm, might have a government job, recognizes the value of the farm, uses that government job money to some extent, either to get loans along with his farmer's collateral, and hires who? People looking like me and you to pay us starvation wages, either to work on his farm or to manage his, not manage his business, work in his business. How emancipated can we be? How free can we be? When every aspect of our life is dependent on what other people do or are willing to do for us. Many of our ancestors left lands, man. They left estates. They left property. But they left it as sharing property. And because this sharing property is out of we own, so it's not a we own. Sometimes when I talk, I feel like talking people business because I know people business. But sometimes it's me business, so me family business, and my extended family business. But it's people business. Why is it an African Guyanese family that inherited wealth to the tune of billions of dollars in my estimation? Back then it might have been hundreds of thousands. As time goes by, market values change. It appreciates in value to millions and hundreds of millions. And in this our producing economy, perhaps billions. How does an African Guyanese family that inherited billions in this current time from their ancestors remain poor? How can they remain poor? Simply because of the fact that we have moved away from our communities because we got educated, we get shine. And we left our inheritances behind. You know a Bible story about that, right? The prodigal son. We left our inheritances behind. And when we were ready to return to the communities in our old age, we find that there's nothing for us really, you know. Because the old house that we inherited in good condition and we left to become dilapidated because we were paying rent in the city is now uninhabitable. Or inhabitable. Right? It is so dilapidated that you're risking your life and limb to even step on the first strata. But you spent so much of your youth building another man's legacy that yours has collapsed right under your eyes and you haven't seen it. Because every weekend, assuming you go every weekend or every month or every 6 weeks to the village, you look at the house and say, "Boy, this wall getting old, I gotta change it. But I ain't got time now, I gotta go to work." And you keep on that wheel like a hamster. And then you come to realize, not only the wall wants changing, but the rafters are gone, the roof is rotted. And the beams are rotted. And then the columns are rotting from the bottom because they're sucking up moisture. And when push comes to shove, because houses are now rented in the city for US dollars, and you're not earning the equivalent of those US dollars, and you turn back to the community that you left behind, you realize there's nothing there for you. Nothing there for you. Either because it collapsed, or somebody coveted it, or you sold it. Because you wanted the money from the sale to sustain your big shot, your so-called big shot life in the city or foreign. And I'm very serious. I know there are people in our communities who are living in family homes that got notice to remove because a brother, sister, cousin sold it in the US to somebody in the US without them even knowing. Sold it to somebody in the city without them even knowing. And so they out of a house or home to sustain your high life according to you. But then when push comes to shove, you realize you ain't got nowhere to turn to. How emancipated are we? How free are we? How free can we be with that kind of attitude and mentality? Are we really free? Are we really emancipated in apartheid Ghana? Emancipation speaks to political freedom, freedom of choice. How many of us today can get up and walk and go in front of the president and say, "Ali, you is a damn jackass. Ali, you're stupid bad. Ali, we want you to honor the collective bargaining agreement. We stand in behind our union because we dominate the public service in terms of numbers, and our salaries and wages are not commensurate with the work that we're putting in. Salaries and wages have not been adjusted to inflation in the society, etc. How many of us can wake up one morning and decide we're going to join the union and make these calls upon the government and demand that they be respected because we're going to engage in strike action or industrial action, whichever one you want to call it. For the greater part, none of us. Why? Because we don't enjoy economic freedom, we don't enjoy political freedom. Because the minute we do that, or the minute we think about that, we start to think, why we gonna get dismissed? And if we get dismissed, we can't pay our mortgages, we can't pay the car note. If we get dismissed, we broke by the time the next paycheck comes around. How emancipated are we? How many of you can work in with the government of Ghana, the government of the day, and attend freely an opposition rally and go back to work the next day without shivering under your coats, thinking that they have seen you and you will be dismissed? Until you could do those things, don't call yourself emancipated. Our ancestors were emancipated. We have allowed ourselves to be enslaved in different ways. What is the answer? They say always, you don't cause the darkness, light a candle. I like cause the darkness so you recognize the darkness, and then we're going to talk about lighting a candle. How do we light a candle to emancipate ourselves? There's a question for you this morning. I'm going to give it 2 bit, but there's a question for you this morning. So when I open up the lines this morning, I want us to talk about what we should be doing as an African people to truly emancipate ourselves. What we and our representatives should be doing as an African people to truly emancipate ourselves. David Granger used to say to throw the monkey off we back. What do we need to do to throw the monkey of a new form of enslavement, maybe neo-enslavement? They talk about neo-colonialism and so on, right? What do we need to do to throw that burden off of our backs? I got some simple recommendations. First and foremost, we have to determine in our minds, and we have to make a conscious effort to research and find all them lands that the ancestors left us and reclaim them. All that our ancestors left us, we must find and reclaim. If we got to reclaim it through the judicial process, we must go that way. If we have to reclaim it by simply going and weed them lands that we left banded and they're covered in bush, and plant 2 coconut trees in them, we must reclaim it that way. Whatever it takes for us to reclaim our lands, we must be prepared to do it. Well, if you sell it, most likely you made a legal agreement with God. But our next generation can plan to rebuy it sometime, right? Possibly. Let us reclaim our ancestral gifts, legacies. All y'all who sitting in Georgetown and in the United States of America and in Canada and in UK and all around the world, diaspora Guyanese, you come from communities. What did you leave behind? Think on that. What did you leave behind? What is the value of what you left behind? Who is taking care of what you left behind? Who is benefiting from what you left behind? How can you help to preserve what you left behind? And when you answer all them questions, you can come back to one thing. Reconnect. Reconnect to your ancestral legacies. Reconnect. You might like your cousin, but your cousin lives in your house, or in the house that was owned by your grandfather, which he left for your mother. But your cousin was living with all of y'all, and not all of y'all migrated and left your cousin there. and says it's not your cousin's house, all your cousin is interested in doing is living inside. How often do you make a pilgrimage? The Indians talk about pilgrimage to Mother India and Mecca and so on. How often do you make a pilgrimage back home to your village to see the state of your ancestral legacy and shape a plan for rescuing it, preserving it? How? Your cousin might live there, but your cousin ain't got the means to maintain it, to fix it up. They might be trying, but a week. It's them live there, let them take care of it. And listen, they lived there for 20 years. I have to go back and pay the tax. And I put it up for sale in the US. And so I now go back to pay the tax. But I take the sale money and I pay off my credit cards. And then I get old, you know. Because I ain't really own property in the US. And I become infirm, you know. And I want to put me in a home, so I want to go back home to Ghana. Where you going? Where you going? The same example goes for those of us who left the village and gone and live in the city. How are we emancipated? How are we free when we continue to make these mistakes generation to generation to generation? We value education, but what kind of education we are giving our youngsters? An education that says you're going to sit in somebody's office and push pen. You're doing their accounts to see how many millions they make in a day, but you earning hundreds or thousands a day. What sense it makes? Why not? Look to where the world is going. Look to where production is going. Look to what the needs of the world would be tomorrow. And educate our children to satisfy those needs without even leaving home. Yeah, the world is talking about food safety and security. We got hundreds of acres of land behind there. You go and study agriculture, modern agriculture. We know agriculture. We know about fork and shovel and cutlass agriculture. But there are better and improved ways of producing for less cost and more value. You go and study that. That is what we're going to educate you in. And so when you're done with that education, you will come back to this community and you will teach us old people new ways, or you will teach the next generation new ways so that we can become more efficient at our production. And you will be our farm manager or our technical advisor. You will set up a consultancy in the community. And so instead of our people running to Annandale to consult the agronomist, they're going to come right here at our bottom house and consult you and pay the same fee or a lesser fee that they're going to pay at Annandale. How about that? Hey, the world is computer oriented now, man. Let a couple of our family members learn the computer systems. And so that they can integrate it into our business management module, whatever you want to call it. How can we mechanize this production here? We here over the years have been planting cassava, bitter cassava, and we've been using it to make cassava bread. Is there any way that we can modernize the way we make cassava bread and make it more efficient so we produce more at a faster rate, at a cheaper cost? You study modern agriculture, come work for us and with us. Let's develop our legacies. By doing that, we will empower ourselves. Do you know there's a roti making machine? I've seen it on the internet. I think I could buy one on Amazon. A roti making machine. Do you know these are the days where you don't have to sit and grate coconut and cassava? There's a mechanized electronic mill being manufactured right over there in Brazil to do that. Yet our ancestors left plantations with coconut. Acres upon acres of coconut trees. And those coconuts are falling and they're turning into what we call them saplings, young coconut plants. And nobody's going, nobody's tending to the farm, so when they fall and they give you young plants, they separate them according to the necessary spacing to ensure they are fed properly, nutrients-wise, and they will continue to produce. Nobody's harvesting those coconuts and bringing them home to throw them in a mill to extract oil from them, despite the fact that virgin coconut oil is big business on the international market. But we are doing the accounts of a non-Poseidon company or somebody else that is into that same thing. And we are talking about being free, talking emancipation. I'm sure I've offered solutions in all the darkness that I'm cursing. I'm offering light also. I hope you could sift through them and find it. I hope it wasn't too difficult. I'll let you into my mind, because I like to do that, to show you that what I preach or what I teach is also what I believe and I do. My daughter just completed CXC. Among the subjects she did is home economics. I went over there and she came to me and she said, "Daddy, look, I made cheesecake. I left a slice here." I said, "Cheesecake, girl?" "Yeah, I made cheesecake." I said, "Do you know how much for a slice of cheesecake?" I got a eureka moment. Do you know how much a slice of cheesecake? And this is no baked cheesecake, right? So it's no stress, quite frankly. Do you know how much a slice of cheesecake? Everybody loves a good cheesecake. Girl, do you know a slice of cheesecake is at least $500? Daddy, you making joke? I said, making joke? It's money you sit down for, girl. If you could only make cheesecake on a weekend and sell, you're going to make enough money. Add that to the other things that your child went to school and learned in the home economics class. And we still talking about a child coming out of school at fifth form, having written CXC, might have done 5 or 6 subjects, and talking about going to look for a job. Right? When that very child can get higher education by attending the University of Guyana and making cheesecakes on the weekend, or pastries in general on the weekend, to pay his or her transportation costs or perhaps tuition fee at the university. What is the purpose of our education? To enslave us to another set of masses, or to really and truly emancipate us? Some people ask me how I live. Mr. Amsterdam, what do you do for a living? Everything that I learn, every bit of knowledge that I have, is utilized to contribute to my living. Back in the days of computers in this country, I learned computers starting from IBM PC, MS-DOS, IBM International Business Machine, PC, Personal Computer, MS, Microsoft, Disk Operating System, DOS. That's why I used to push a disk in a computer to boot it. That is when I started learning the computer. I don't have a master's, I don't have a doctorate, I don't have a bachelor's in computer science, no. But I use the education to make money. I had the first and perhaps only wireless internet service in Buxton until GT&T brought Blaze. You have to continue to reinvent yourself. The education must make you be able to reinvent yourself. When I was finalizing, doing my final exam, practical exam at the University of Guyana for my degree in communication, I think it was radio broadcast we were doing. Morning Marcy Parker, whichever one, Marcy Parker. I took an entire studio to the University of Guyana and I showed to my fellow students it wasn't anything complicated. They had fun using it. That studio is part of what I'm broadcasting to you with right now. Not much has changed from that studio. Believe it or leave it. It's not me, please. It's Mr. Amsterdam talking to you. I'll be Buxtonian. Use your education for empowerment. Use your education for freeing yourselves, emancipating yourselves and your next generations. You got a child who just graduated secondary school as having written home economics. They teach them all kinds of things there. Which part of home economics you like, child? I like laying tables and serving people. Hey, you're into the hospitality business, you know. Let me advertise your service. You could do a good interior decoration. Let me advertise your services. Girl, you finish sexy, me never work. Mind you know about it. Let's see if you got a clerk job. You better go and see if the post office taking on. And what we find happening in our society, in our communities, in our homes, is that our children who are just finished writing CXC with 5 and 6 and CXC subjects to their names are now going into the workplace in entry-level jobs, and 20, 30 years they're right there at entry-level jobs because they have not found the time, or their employers have not given them the time, have not made it possible for them to go and further educate themselves to move upward. And so after 20 years with 6 CXC subjects, you are still a clerk. You move from a clerk 3 to a clerk 2. And you're approaching retirement and you ain't going to become a supervisor because you have not been given the time, or you have not had the opportunity, or your income didn't permit you to further your education. But if you take the knowledge from them same 6 subjects that you got at CXC, and you choose one out of them, and you say, I will focus on this as a business, you will find that in 20, 30 years, you're richer than somebody who left school with you at the same time with the same education, but took a different path. Let us start thinking along those lines of emancipation and educating ourselves, how we use our education to emancipate us and our next generation, how we use it to better, to develop the legacies from our ancestors. And until we start doing that, don't let us pampersette ourselves around the place and say we're free. We're free from freedom. Because everything we want to do under this condition that we're living in is dependent on what the other man will allow us to do. Right? The lines are open. We can talk about the rest as you call. The lines are open 6225933. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time with the Buxtonian. I wanted to use a word, but they tell me don't use it. We're playing an upstart, no? Six two two five nine three three is the number to call. How do we use our education to truly emancipate ourselves in this time? And education includes skills. Don't think when we talk about education is book knowledge alone, you know. Not everybody is academic. I saw somebody say you can start by stop listening to me. You know that's the enemy, right? Because the enemy don't want you to hear what I have to share with you. The enemy don't want me to open up your eyes and enlighten you. The enemy would like to keep you in darkness so they could get more employees. I ain't about that. You see, a lot of people believe that when they share knowledge, it is putting them out of business. Sharing knowledge empowers you. If I'm a carpenter and I can share knowledge with the next generation, they can't put me out of business. At least not with that knowledge I share them, because I'm already ahead of them. I've already established a clientele. I've already established that I can do the work that I'm talking about. They got to go and prove themselves. So you're losing nothing by sharing knowledge. Some cases, some of the young goons, used loosely, will take that knowledge and they will incorporate it with modern ways and they will get ahead of you. But remember, you have already established a clientele. The older generation like to stick with what they know. Okay? Boy, I made some saltfish and bakes this morning. Oh gosh, you will die for it. It's heavenly. You know, when persons leave this community on a daily basis to go to work before they have time to make breakfast, if I could sell 20 saltfish a bake daily, you know how much money I can make? Let's assume I get $250 for one. That's what? 5,000 or something, sir? 25, 250, $5,000. I am sure $5,000 will represent at least time and a half my investment to make those saltfish and bakes. Your child just came out of school, having done home economics, having been taught the methods of making saltfish and bake. I sure they taught them that. Pies and puddings. And you said you try to do some clock work somewhere. Because some little collie might take you some past shit. Or he. Hey, something wrong with you. Call the number 6225933 is the number to call. Big up yourself, Kwesi. I don't remember or I don't care to call his surname. Kwesi is from Melanie. At least he was from Melanie. I know them. Their father used to have a good job in Georgetown, but he used to wear layers. They got a nickname we used to call it. They used to sell eggs. And perhaps still do. I always remember Kwesi because when many of us boys were thinking home economics is for girls, Kwesi got a distinction in home economics having attended St. Joseph's side. Right? A distinction in home ec. I don't know if he uses that skill, but I know he was a banker. Or perhaps still is. But I always remember Kwesi because in a time when we were thinking home ec is for girls, Kwesi did home ec. I think it was a double wide subject in that time, in the 90s, and he got a distinction in home economics. Call it live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, conductor. All these things you said today was so true. Because when you talk about this thing with people who educate themselves and remove from the village to go to live in the bright lights, that was mainly Georgetown. We had a person who did that. The mother was a single parent. She managed the children by cutting rice, planting rice, a big lady. And she educated one, became a nurse, one a teacher. Anyway, they removed from the village. One was a seamstress and so on. And she had this house, and one of the daughters, a teacher, she lived in rent until she died in the 80s, at the age of 80 plus. And the house eventually fell down because no one of them studied to come and live in the house. So that is so true. Now, when many people educate themselves, they forget the country life because they don't want people to say they come from country. And I could remember I went to South Georgetown. And when I went to the school, the people selling pink jamun and saying, you and me know get that be. Pink jamun is green jamun. And when everybody, the children, man, say you don't want country, I said no. Country people are say black jamun. And from that tender age at secondary school, that made up my mind that I would never leave the country life to go and live in the city. Now moving along. Now the latest drink in Guyana is the drink of former Minister Patterson being charged for indecent exposure of his genitalia.
Rama!
Okay.
What did my instructions say this morning?
I didn't listen because I went to work.
Okay, let me explain to you. I said this morning I want us to talk about how we can use our education to truly emancipate ourselves. Meanwhile, about Patterson indecent exposure?
Well, sorry, I didn't
Tell me this, we can deal with it tomorrow.
Alright, we're moving.
And let me make it clear. The last time somebody said shout a holler down on somebody, in fact I said bark on somebody, I am just being emphatic. I ain't barking at nobody. Go ahead.
Yes. Now with the thing about educating people and so on the role in this emancipation thing. Many persons, as I started, would run away from the fact. And I think the churches had a lot of role to play in our being here, because we were a people coming from the motherland with our own values, our own cultures. And in order to bring us into subjection, there came the churches with certain doctrines and preaching that if you wanted to be a good Christian, you would follow these organizations. And because of their type of dominance, that has helped to put down your will of being the person you are supposed to be. By that I mean, if you had a rebellious nature, that you would do things that would have enhanced you. When you got to the church, and the preacher and the pulpit will turn and say, oh, these things, are deadly sins and that, disobedience and that kind of thing. So many persons, for want to be a good Christian, has moved away from the riotous way of being their own independent person. Hence, we got this fall away where we are no longer governor and owner of our own individual selves, that we can progress and become the dominant person to say, you know what, as an African, I will do this. Because many of us, our minds are so muddled and wanting to be a good person. So we will throw away our characteristics to make us a persons of independence, and we do not want to govern ourselves. So that is my thing today. I hope I was on track. And coming back to the other thing, you know, many women guarded the family. Many a family is as strong as the women in the family. And if you start to beat down on the women, you're destroying the family. I say that because when fathers would have left the home to go and work, the mothers were the persons who are with the children until that father comes back. Sometimes the father left before the sun rays and come back after the sun rays. So she was the person who had to hold and nurture and bring the family. So when we jump and we berate the woman, we are destroying strong morals of the society. Right now I'm following these women in this country of Orango. They rule, they do everything, and they're doing fairly all right. So women, we have a lot of roles to play in order to educate and hold our young people, and to let our young people build from what we're doing. And if we don't leave proper examples, they will have no one to follow. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain open. 622593 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. How can you use your education? How can we use our education to truly emancipate us? Call your live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kodaki. Alright, this thing is basic and it's simple. It's not that hard. The rest of races look at we, they don't respect we because why? One basic simple thing. Because we operate like we don't have no sense. Because emancipating ourselves is simple. But Mali said, only we could emancipate yourself. Only how could emancipate yourself. Only a man could know himself. The reason why he said that, a lot of people don't know the reason and the purpose of this saying. The reason is basically we have to educate ourselves. We cannot have an enemy educating you. Our friend said, no, you're going Guyana. Back in the days, you went to school. It used to start at standard and farm. That was the British style. Now you're going to see it go to, we call it again, grades. That's the American system. So you see where the education coming from. And that's the only way we could educate ourselves. We could emancipate ourselves, we have to educate ourselves. It's basic, that's not hard. Once we educate ourselves, we will be able to know how to control our own economy. Because there's the two main things that could keep it up. Education and economy. Because if you don't have no money for sustain yourself, definitely you're going to have to go to somebody for depend to sustain you. So that's the number one thing. Economy. Educating yourself. Once you can educate yourself, come out for this foolish whitewash education that these people giving to me and keeping me down. Look at all the idiots in the world. Is the educated one. With him, we can people. The ones that don't have no education is not gonna live in the poor neighborhood. And when you go in the poor neighborhood, something where they gonna control them with is the churches. You go and look what part in the world, what part all the churches there is in the poor neighborhood. You're gonna find one day is a Pentecostal, you go cross the road, you're gonna find a 7 days, you go at a part, you're gonna find they call it again, the Christian, I forget the church we is called it, but you gonna find all the churches in the ghetto, just to control them, right? And the church them gonna start a fight against each other, so they're gonna keep each other at reach. And there's a big war going on between the churches, so conquer, how much you go conquer. Then you gonna find the most hardcore store in the ghetto, just to keep you unstable, because your brain's gonna not function, you're gonna always jump. Right? And the pressure point you does really go run for drinking, right? And there's something a lot of these black.
I love you, baby. these lines to you. Yeah. From a little cottage in the green, I realize I love you still. From a little cottage in the hills, way down west in Eden, this man said, he said, pining for your love. Gee, way I miss you. Now my lips wanna kiss you. I called you on the phone. To my surprise, you were not home. But from a little cottage in the grill, I wrote these lines to you. Yeah. From a little cottage in the grill, I realize I love you still. Brothers getting trade, some sniffing, some getting high, licking sensimilla pie. Some get high, jamming sensimilla cane, then go west to watch sunset at the Rick's Cafe. But from a little cottage in the green, I wrote these lines to you. From a little cottage in the green, I realize I love you still. Brothers getting jade, some hooked and some getting high, licking on the collie pie. Some get high, jamming sensimilla cake, then go west.
La 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 la, yeah. Oh God bless. La 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 la, yeah. Black like a tar. Black, I'm proud you have to know who you are. Black like a tar. Africa is the motherland, big up every black superstar. Black like a tar. Black, I'm proud you have to know who you are. Black like a tar. Africa is the motherland, you have to know who you are. Them say, when you say black bus, you fit turn back. Them say, nothing good never come out of black. Get crack or spot, I say him too black. But my complexion, me say me know it coming black. I'm proud to be black, I'm a black to be proud. Marcus Garvey lead out 10 million black. I'm black to be proud, I'm proud to be black. So if you with me, won't you shout it out loud? Boy, black like a tar. Black, I'm proud you have to know who you are. Black like a tar. Africa is the motherland, big up every black superstar. Black like a tar. Black, I'm proud you have to know who you are. Black like a tar. Africa is the motherland, big up every black superstar. Some bleach out them skin and think them out the win. Some bleach out them skin until it get thin. Some bleach out them skin, see that them can't yell the king. Now from your bleach out your skin, boy, your skin. Boy, I'm a true Rasta man, I'm a true Rasta man, smoking me herb doing me thing. So Babylon is the fire where me a fling. Boy, black like a tar. Black, I'm proud you have to know who you are. Black like a tar. Africa is the motherland, big up every black superstar. Black like a tar.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time with the Buxtonian Kidaki Amsterdam. I'm your host. It is 7 hours 30. on the 28th day of July in the year 2023. Black like a tar. Right? Black like a tar, you have to be proud. You must know who you are. Black like a tar. Yes. Sometimes we have to use the words of these Jamaican artists to remind us who we are. Sometimes we don't have the time to read books and to delve deep into history. But we listen to the lyrical lessons of history and we learn. We come to appreciate who we are. So yes, it's important that we feature some of our artists sometimes. I love you, and that is why I started by playing From a Little Cottage in Negril. It's love I'm expressing. I love you, and that is why I'm here every morning teaching you hard lessons. Some people say cussing you out. I don't really come here to cuss out anybody. I come here to speak truth to our people and our leaders. Right? That's what I come to do. I mean, it's sometimes the unpleasant truth. A lot of people don't like the unpleasant truth. But I grew up hearing Kidaki Winga manners. Right? But Kidaki Winga don't chill Winga manners. Why a lot of people told me that? Because I'm not the kind of person to mince words, as people say. I don't mince words. If I want to tell you I black, I tell you I black. But trust me, I'm not malicious. I tell you I black because I recognize you I black. How you deal with it is a matter for you. Once I'm honest, that's what I deal with. I must be able to look at myself and my conscience in the mirror and say, well, it's you, no pretense here. Right? When I go to bed at night, I sleep. I hardly study what is going to come get me from the previous day's behavior. Hardly ever study that. We want more leaders like that in our society. Anyways, I'm going to talk about some uncomfortable truths later. Let's talk about how you are. How are you this morning? How did you pass your last night? Did you sleep last night? I had a rough night last night, you know. And it's not because of any wickedness I do, but because I overworked. You know, sometimes you work hard. I've been working hard. Every day, whole day, for the last 6 weeks or so. Right? Not that I don't work hard. Every day I'm on a grind. But I've been really pushing myself for these last 6 weeks or so. Right? Leading up to the children's party and then the anniversary and then right into the emancipation period and all kinds of things. Right? But sometimes when my body gets too tired, it doesn't relax fast enough for me to go to bed right away. And so I have to sit down sometimes and look at a movie or something and so on and so forth. Right? So I went in late and I got up early. Because why did I get up early? Work is always on my mind. It might not strike you as the reality that I live, but work is always on my mind. How did you pass your night? Did you sleep well? What bothers you this morning? What about yesterday? You made a lot of money yesterday. You stayed safe. Do you had any unpleasant encounters you want to share with us? How were you treated on the job? No, I think sometimes I ask these questions just for the sake of conversation. I really want to know. Because sometimes when we get this kind of feedback, we can help to change somebody's life. By sharing a little experience here or a little experience there as to how to deal with these situations and so on. Right? That's why I ask. Each of us could help the other. You don't have to experience it yourself to learn from it. You can learn from other people's experiences. Right? What are the experiences of others that you have learned from? I said yesterday in a passing comment to somebody who called, oh, yes, our brother Amobi. And what we called to tell us about that gathering they will have tomorrow at the Eddie Grant Center in Pleasance. Did he say 10 o'clock? I can't remember the exact time. But it's a gathering that all the villagers are invited to. I asked him to send me that information. I don't think it ever came. Representatives of all of the villages along the East Coast, along the railway embankment, where the Ali administration is proposing to put a 4-lane highway. Right? They're asking that representatives from those villages attend the meeting tomorrow at the Eddie Grant Center. I'll have to reacquaint myself excuse me, with the time so that you'll be alerted. And when Amobi called in to say that, I said, I want to be the leader of the black nation in this country. And I'm serious. I would like to be the leader of the black nation of this country. 2:30, I'm told the time is 2:30. Thank you, Patricia. So 2:30 tomorrow, representatives from all the villages along the railway embankment should go to the Eddie Grant Center in Pleasance. It's south of the railway line, down the road where the health center is. Andrews Noble Avenue, I think they call it, but I don't fight up with the names. I fight up with landmarks. So find the health center road and go south of the railway line. You're going to find the Eddie Grant Center somewhere down there. Right? So I've been, excuse me? So I've been saying, I want to be the leader of the black nation. But I can't just get up and say I'm going to lead the black nation. The black nation has to recognize leadership abilities in me. And leadership abilities that they want in me. And then embrace me as the leader of the black nation. Because if I just go there and say I'm the leader of the black nation, I'm just masquerading myself. There's some people who will follow, and there are others who will challenge my right to lead the black nation. But if the black nation says, listen, we've been observing Mr. Amsterdam and we think he has the qualities that we want in our leader, let's embrace him and promote him. Then there is likely to be more acceptability. But why am I saying I want to be the leader of the black nation? Why do I want to be the leader of the black nation? Because I'm going to be very honest. I said I will speak some on uncomfortable truth this morning. Leadership has to be visionary. You have to be visionary. You can't always playing off the back foot. You can't always be reactive. You must be forward thinking, and you must have the temerity to look at your people square in the eyes and tell them, hey, that can't work. Or hey, it's not going to work. What do you suggest? Let's work around this. Let us put our heads and hands together and come up with an alternative to that, because that can't work. And so when I look at how our leadership has been reacting to the PPP all the time for the past 3 years or 26 years, depending on which point of view you take it from, I'm arguing this morning that there's need for new leadership among the current crop. And that leadership doesn't have to follow the current crop or toe the line, but it may very well be necessary that that leadership moves to the front and lead those who were there before. And if they are very serious about wanting better for their people, they will fall in line and support that new leadership. Question I'm asking you this morning: are you satisfied with what you're getting from the current crop of leaders? Are they visionary enough? Are they bold enough? Are they straightforward enough with the people that they claim to lead? When that issue of the Embankment Road 4-way embankment came up, one of the first things you will remember me saying on this program is the PPP wins when we engage with them individually, whether as individual beings or individual communities. And so in this instance, if you really want to exact your pound of flesh from the PPP in relation to this proposed four-lane highway, you must have an inter-community, not inter-community team that will deal with the government on this matter. Every community that is going to be affected by this four-lane highway must have a representative around the table representing the cause of their people. But that representative must not only be backed by their community, but rather those representatives must be backed by one mass of people representing all of the communities. You see, Plaisance has 7,000 persons, let's say, just numbers I'm playing with. And Rodwell Lewis is their representative. When Rodwell Lewis goes to deal with the president or whoever they're negotiating with, it's Rodwell Lewis and 7,000. But when the other communities along the way that are affected put their backings behind Rodwell Lewis, is Rodwell Lewis and 700,000 or 70,000. In unity there is strength. In unity there is strength. And so I'm saying the call is necessary, not necessarily timely, but is necessary. I think it is made a little late, but it is necessary that every community sends a representative to tomorrow's meeting in Plaisance to represent not only their interests, but the community's interest. And so you have a big tent. One big tent of people will be affected by this four-lane highway. A meeting of the minds that will hash a plan as to how to deal with the Ali administration and their proposals. But this is what we will have tomorrow. Uncomfortable truths. Uncomfortable truths. Because it's a call that is made late, a lot of people in our communities who have self-interest will turn up to that meeting out of self-interest. Because the call is made late and it has to be made public, the PPP will encourage their goons and their cohorts to go to that meeting as representatives of communities. And so they will have their moles among the people who have legitimate concerns to derail it when it really starts to put pressure on the PPP. And that is why I'm saying, or they say, when there's a lack of vision, people will suffer. Because quite frankly, what our African leaders or African cultural leaders or African national leaders should have been doing from the get-go is quietly going to those communities, discuss with the residents and have the residents identify the people that they want them to represent. The people must be able to choose their leaders to represent them out of a position of trust to start with. So tomorrow Tom Jones may turn up from Buxton. At 3/4 the Buxtonian say Tom Jones can't represent me. I don't trust that nigga. That man is so corrupt that I don't even know if his name is correct. If it's his right name he uses. Right? And I'm just using the name Tom Jones there loosely. I don't know any Tom Jones in Buxton. Good? But it may happen with Vice Loss presents itself as Grove, Victoria, Golden Grove. And so when that happens, the so-called representative of the community doesn't get the backings of the community and therefore can't negotiate with strength. Can't negotiate with strength. And so I'm sounding the clarion call. Community leaderships, national leaders should get the message out into these communities, gather the people, discuss the possible issues that will arise from this 4-lane highway, and then select a representative or 2 or 4 or 6, whatever the number you want, to join that inter-community round table. Let me call it that. But only if you're a visionary, you will recognize that several weeks ago when this matter first started, that this is the approach we need to take. I'm happy that we have arrived at this place where people recognize that the best approach to this matter is by bringing all the communities to one table through their representatives. And these representatives must not only tell themselves they're going there to represent their communities, and they go, they sit, they talk, they do whatever, and then they go back home quietly. They have a responsibility to report to the people who sent them on a mission. And so I'm encouraging again, hold them accountable. You must know what is happening behind those closed doors where you sent them to negotiate on your behalf. I'd be happy to see that unfold. But I'm also scared that our people will drop the ball again. That's my uncomfortable truth. That's my uncomfortable truth. But let's work together as a people. It is only if we work together as a people we can overcome the challenges which we are faced with. Good? I saw somebody, one of them person I think, asking me about some account, Kidaki, Camsteve, whatever. Do you need an account or something? Tell the people what you achieved in the last 40 years. Well, boy, I don't know what you consider achievement. But I'll tell you a story. There was a group of classmates, schoolmates who met for a school reunion. And among them, you had a female and a set of men. Female is a teacher. The men are engineers, politicians, managers, technocrats. And the conversation came up, how much do you make? Or what do you make a year? And everybody started boasting of their salaries and so on. You know, teachers don't get much, especially Guyanese teachers. So when it came around to the teacher said, what do I make? I make children that y'all can control sit in classrooms for extended period of time. I make children who came to school challenged with reading, writing, and understanding. Focus and work hard enough to become engineers, to become politicians, to become technocrats. And she went down the line identifying what she makes. She didn't look at it from a point of view of salaries or finances. So when whoever you be asking for me to tell the people what I achieved over a period of 40 years, that forms part of my response. I made a lot of slow learners brilliant. But apart from that, what I really achieved over a period of 50 years, not 40, is humanity. A love for people, respect for people, a kindness of heart that you may not be able to match. That's my biggest achievement. A love for humanity. Materially, I've achieved a few things here and there. There ain't no landlord to come and put me out or knock at my door and say come for my rent. I got a car that many look at and might think it's old, but it gets me to places and back. I have a few investments which will put food on my table. And so unlike what a lot of you come here and say, I don't have to beg bread. Those are things I achieve. I have 2 children who, up until this day, by God's grace, has never had a run-in with the law. They have never had to complain of me being abusive to them. A poor father or parent in general. They've so far achieved matriculation, I think that's what they call it. In other words, they went through school and they proved that they learned while they were in school, unlike Ali. Those are achievements. I don't know how you measure your achievements. I've never been locked up for fraud, simple larceny, or any such financial crimes. Or generally, if you ask me, criminal activities. I've been locked up for representing the people on a protest line several times. That speaks to my humanity. I'm always fighting for humanity. What have you achieved? What have you achieved? I hope to achieve more in the lines of the things that I've spoken about. Especially, I want to see good governance in Guyana. I want to see fairness. I want to see equity. I want to see balance. I want to see honesty in government. Those are some of the things I want to see. Natasha Moffett, don't tell me I must not answer that boy. I have to answer that boy. Because I usually say to you, I choose to answer certain people because it gives me a teachable moment. And so in answering that boy, I'm saying to you all, what are some of the things we can strive for to make this world a better place? Damn, I will tell you He has achieved what? Millions, multi-millions, hundreds of millions in financial wealth, political power. But where is its credibility? Where is its credibility? Money don't buy respect. Money doesn't buy humanity. And while many of you consider those things achievement, they're not achievement in my book. Because a lot of them were arrived at through dishonesty, through corruption, through nepotism, through abuse and oppression. How do you watch yourself in the mornings or night or noon and feel? How do you feel every time you approach that vehicle to enter it? And you reflect on the manner in which you acquired it. How do you? I have given an account for, and I can give an account, not only for 40 years of my life, but my entire life. My entire 50 years on this earth so far, by God's grace. Don't come here and bad mind nobody. Right? Bad mind, don't come and bad mind nobody. If you're accustomed raping, stealing, and plundering, and you call that achievement, go good, go with God. Allow me to live my humble life. I'm a humble African. I don't look for trouble. I intend to bother no one. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. And while I wait for your call, let me talk about this. In fact, let me tell you that between the period of August 13th, no, August 11th, because I've had some requests. Between the period of August 11th to 13th, 3 days, 11th, 12th, and 13th, is the intention to host a African cultural camp for young people. Get all your grandchildren and children ready to send them to Club Twilight for an African cultural camp. 3 hours daily for 3 days, so it comes down to about 9 to 12 hours. Let your offspring, your next generation, your current generation, yourself, if you don't think you know enough, come and sit with us at Club Twilight and talk about the African man, the African woman, the African civilization, the African history. 11th, 12th, and 13th of August. I'll give you the time, but I know it's going to last for minimum 3 hours daily. Not only will they leave with knowledge, but they will also leave with skills and pride and all of that. Self-pride. Call it live. Good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. Kadaki, I like how you answer that person. Very, very well. Very. You're right. But I just want to say keep up the good work. And you were asking how you had your day and your night. Well, yesterday my day started out a little bad. I got locked out of the house. Then after that, I went to work. And I just got in from work and I'm listening to you. Kadaki, I'm telling you, it's a hard road we have to go. But we as a people and as a nation, we have to come out and address. We have to stand very firm to address poverty in our country. Oh my God, it's very, very bad. And a lot of people who have a little extra, you know, sometimes I could understand they don't want to share, but sometimes if we share, we'll see things coming to us that what we least expect. And I know for sure, I grew up in a home where my grandmother had a sister, she passed away. And my grandmother always tell us, her sister helped her. Likewise, she helped herself. And before our sister, when our sister got sick, our daughter had to go and take care of that sister, live in that sister home and take care of our sister. And that's how it runs in our family. We work together with each other and we share things which this one does not have. We know for sure the next person gonna have it. We work together, and that's how we grow up. And people might say, why you have to share things, and especially sometimes if that person doesn't have, why eat it all by yourself? And what you are doing, you might not be able to give us money, but you're sharing your knowledge with us so we could understand and know what is actually going on. From the first time, this was way back, I think was Chaka Blair, when you stood out from Since Then, I would never ever forget that videotape. Someone had given it to me and I lent it to someone and then I never got it back. But from that, I've been watching at you to see how powerful you are. And people need to see that and know. They might not like it because they do not want to come out and do the things you are doing. You are doing it for us and making us aware of a lot of things that we did not. I know for sure I did not know of things. And it empowered me more to speak up and not just say, well, I don't care and that doesn't bother me or whatever. It do bother me, not because I does not live there every day, because I go there. That was one of my mother's biggest dreams, to have me go back home and visit, because I never used to come because I couldn't tolerate the nonsense what I see when I go there. So, but I had to look past that and look at the bigger picture. That's one thing my mother used to sit down with us and discuss about what's going on in Guyana. So, people, try your best. Just look past what is going on, and just because you're not there, try your best. Whatever you can donate and you can give, just give it. God's going to bless you. God's going to show you the way. And doors going to open for you that what you least not expect. And Kadaki, I just want to say, my cousin passed away. She lives in Florida. And she's from Buxton, the Aaron family that was living right behind us. She passed away, and she was a big supporter of our country, but she never exposed it. I'm saying it to you now because I'm the one who made her did it. So I just want to say that. So the people who know the Aaron family, my key brother is Oris, and my keys are cousin. I'm a cousin too, because we all grew up in that back there, just behind Wave, New York. But Kadaki, you keep up the good work and take good care. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Condolences to yourself and the Aaron family. I know Sister Jean also has died. Sister Jean Gill. She died early in the week or late last week. Condolences to the relatives and friends of Sister Jean. The entire community definitely mourns her passing.
Yes. She gave, but what she did it anonymous because she did not want people to know. But I'm telling you, Kalaki, she gave because she came to this country regardless of whatever had confronted her. And she stood up and she did well, I'm telling you, well for herself. And she donated a lot. She did it quietly. She built a home for her family. She did so much for people who she didn't even know. And I'm not going to say who I made her contribute to, but it was big. It was big.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good...
Call you live. Good morning.
Morning to you, sir. How was your night?
I explained. I'm okay though.
But did you dream?
I am always dreaming, I'm dreaming of a better Guyana.
Good.
I'm always dreaming.
The thing about it, before you could dream, you have to sleep. And a lot of those that got all this tremendous wealth go to bed and they cannot dream. Because before you dream, you have to sleep. A lot of them can't sleep when the night comes. because of how the wealth come. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yep. So I want people to remember that. Don't worry about all of them who accumulate all this thing through wrong means, right? Because that demon do bug them at night. So be careful you envy the next man. Could I make a plug for my daughter?
Why not?
Because I know you have a lot of people from over here. Well, today she's dropping her album, and the name of the album is an EP album. You just have to be there, right? Or you could go and search in Apple Music, Spotify, any one of them for Vanilla Archer.
I ain't searching for nothing. You have to send me the demo.
I'm gonna send you. You go get it.
You know,
you go get it.
back in the days when our artists needed a play, they had to walk and find these jockeys and
right?
and put the 45 in their hand and beg them to. In some instances, they had to pay them to play. Right,
and some of them had to go in record stores and count the records to see what records sell before they could get paid.
Good, very well. So I ain't looking for nothing.
you go get your portion. All right.
Okay, buddy.
You go get it. Yes. And her brother assisted in producing it.
That's good. Family business. That's what I like to hear about.
Our Guyanese artist out there. Thank you.
And our father is marketing it.
Thank you. All right, great talk.
Yeah, thank you. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. It's Free Talk Friday at 7 minutes past 8 o'clock. I give you a lot of time to talk. Now, I mentioned the passing of Sister Jean Gill. Listen, I tell you, when the history of boxing is written again, because Brother UC did one installment, I call it, the history of boxing in print and memory, or boxing friendship in print and memory. And he detailed all of what he could have detailed, I guess, about the history of boxing and so on. Sister Jean Gill stands tall. Call all your line. Not only among men, but women also. Whenever we revisit our history, Sister Jean Gill will stand tall. Since I was a little boy, I knew I was doing one thing, selling fruity. Like, so we all know is fruity. Fruity and ice block. Custard block. That is what I know Sister Jean doing all the years. I don't know her age now, but I'm sure she is either close to 100 or past 100. But she continued to do that all through the years. Her husband was a professional. I can't remember where he worked. Lionel Gill. Yeah, Lionel was his name. We used to call him Luggage. Right? Those are Bostonian heritage would know the stories of Luggage and so on. But I'm sure it's a village that every member of this community is mourning her loss. A decent human being. She wasn't of exorbitant means, like I said. I know her selling icicle and ice block. In the, you know them fruity flasks we used to call them? Right? That's what I know her doing all the years. Always humble, always pleasant. Sister Jean. May her soul rest in peace. Call A Life. Good morning.
Good morning, and condolence to the family of deceased, and may her soul rest in peace. Yes. The opening is that you spoke to the person. People like to look at your wealth as money and the bank and building islands and the different things. But for those people don't realize that when you got them exorbitant wealth, you're being investigated. And when for you to achieve those exorbitant wealth, many of the owners of those vast amount of wealth do a lot of underhand runnings, murders, all kind of illicit things that eventually, when the tasks do come up and they're being investigated, then they just cry and set people against them. So you don't got to get a big Bangkok, 1,000 cars and them things to be doing good. You could do good in your own way. Because look how you're talking about the lady who just used to sell fluting And she will be remembered for that little thing that she used to do, but it was a big thing. Because many persons in this age, well, not my age group, the younger generation, like those in the early 20s coming down to the single numbers like 7 and 8, will not know what a flute is, because flute don't sell now. Now it's everybody either a chill drink or 120 buster or a 20 ounce sweet drink, soda drink, anyhow. So they ain't gonna know about that. But when we talk about people like to measure wealth for people, and I don't measure wealth because I just tell people daily. I say, if you see me by a bank, the people might think I come to rob the bank because I don't have money on the bank. And a few years last year, when I was doing work on my house, when the contractor told me the value, I was shocked. And people may see me walking this road, going my way, and they might say, well, think. But you don't measure a person by their appearance. You measure them, at least I measure them with the quality of the top side. Because just looking at me, people who don't know me, I'm not boasting on myself. But when I start to talk, people know that at least out of the mumble jumble, the babbling and so, you will get something from me. So I like a bypassad. Soon as he look at me now, he is going to measure my ability by my appearance. He is going to measure my wealth by my appearance. You don't ever judge a book by its cover. And one thing he talking about things, once put aside in the protest, because they look for us and they penalize us when they see we are ardent protesters. Bringing me back into today's street talk with the minister who they put on $200,000 bail. That man was very noticeable in the protest for the Amerindian girl and the rape. He was out there, he was even sounding his voice. He was at the protest again around the Jumbie border, Sherrod was called. Very boisterous. Then he went into the hinterlands with Sherrod on the campaign system for the last local government election. And once this installed regime notice that you are coming up to fight and talk against the ills that they are handing down with force to the Africans in Guyana, they look to pick you out like what they used to do in the formative slave years when they see you are a slave with the potential to lead your people out of slavery and pick you off. Well, they can't really get to take you and hang you now. So they're going to lock you up, put you on a hefty fine, so that you will be on a big bail, so that you will be afraid to talk against the ills of this country. Now imagine the charge that he gets, what they call, that he indecently exposed himself. I don't know who. I travel a lot to and fro because I travel on the road. And many times you would see right there like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you name the time, a car will stop, and when you look out you may notice it's an Indian man relieving himself on the big highway. Why those people aren't being charged for indecent exposure? What goes for one must go for all. And I hope that it could start charging all those men who will stop the car, open the car door, and according to them, piss about the place. It mustn't only be for the black man because he talk against the ill of the rapist with the young girl that they look to penalize. And imagine You put a man on $200,000 bail, and I'm quite certain he gotta go to court. And an alleged rapist of a little girl, a teenager, 16. You raped the girl because of being your grandchild. And the girl got you, I wish you got you. And this judicial system has not seen it fit to let the girl get a court hearing to describe what she went through. But this man, who nobody inside the sea, nobody ain't got to the station and report is suffering from some distress because they noticed this man penis outside, and so he could get charged. And what if, I hope the lawyer must ask them, let they tell them the size of what they see and everything, the dimension. And if they can't give that, the case should be thrown out of court, because as far as I see, that does not have merit in the court. Last. Now to that kind of want all listening. Since the local government that passed on the 12th of June, we in Denhamsel used to be getting water upstairs all through the day. Because first, before COVID, we didn't used to get, and we used to get water all through the day upstairs. You know, since the local government and we Denhamsel was being won by the Africans within the local authority, you know what they do? They turn down our water supply. So Denhamsel cannot get water. You got to go downstairs to a pipe, and the pipe got to be flat with the pipe. You can't come up and you're drawing water by cup and put it in your bowl. That is this spitefulness, because we won Denhamsel and they win Blankenberg and Hick. Blankenberg and Hick in suffering no water problem. But right now, we in Denhamsel cannot get water. Since the 12th of June, the 13th of June, the pipe get problem. Till now, and it cannot be fixed. That is how this installed regime means to spite Africans once they see that you are putting up retaliation against them and you fight them back. They try to suppress you in whatever way possible. They can suppress you. They can't come in here and bring people and so. Last, a woman calling to talk out, they can't give cricket and so tickets. You know, you got to understand, one like me, the tickets want to bother me, because you know why? Once I get a big screen TV, I would have been seeing the cricket in my house. And if the inside, she got to realize she's not like them little Amerindian girls who would get free ticket and the minister got and the president and the vice president, they flock around. She got to understand she and herself like me. So don't go, let them continue to buy out the tickets, and I want to see how many little Amerindian girls will be in the high part of the stadium to watch at the cricket. I hope the parents learn from the major fire that is now being picked up abroad, and the girl who get raped. I want y'all see, so y'all could send them out again for let the see cricket. That is my thing. Bye-bye.
Thank you for that call. I want to tell y'all something. Y'all ain't gonna agree with me, you know. Right? I like to speak uncomfortable truths. First, let me start by saying, any government in this country should be ashamed to have a citizen brought before the courts charged with indecent exposure because he or she relieved his or herself in the public. Let me start by saying that non-government in this country has the moral authority to lock up any citizen in this country who chooses to piss at a street corner. shit at the street corner. None of them ain't got the moral authority. Even in the bad days, when we were cussing for Bonham, and when things hard in this country, you could have found public facilities around the city especially. I always remember the last standing one used to be by Parade Ground, just around the Chetty Jagan Dental Center right now. Right on Carmichael Street, there was one there. I remember that as the last standing public utility where you used to go and piss and shit. I'm using that language by choice. One would believe, and like I say, education is supposed to change you for the positive. And so one would believe as you develop as a nation and you get access to resources, call all the line. You will look at it simple, the little things matter. And coincidentally, that is what I titled this morning's program. The little things matter. You will look at the little things that can improve the quality of life and livelihood of your citizens. I, as an individual, I can tell you, I go through hell if I'm in the city. If I want to urinate, I go through hell. For the simple fact that I cannot bring myself easily to urinate in the public. Regardless of whether or not I got breast or lantern or what, it is not an easy task. I have shy glands perhaps, but I cannot just step out of my car and lean to grass corner and urinate. It's hell for me. And then with my quote-unquote public profile, I always wonder who is watching and how will I end up on the news tomorrow morning. Perhaps like Patterson did. The law is the law, but I think the magistrate that goes before should just read the right after the police, the government, and everybody and throw it through the door. But let me tell you what is the uncomfortable truth. When Patterson was in government as Minister of Public Works or Public Infrastructure, was it his responsibility, among other things, to ensure that they got public facilities around the city? I'm just asking, I don't know. But was it a part of his portfolio to ensure that citizens could find somewhere that they can urinate, they can relieve themselves when they're out in the city doing business? I don't know, but I know it is government's responsibility, whether city government or national government. And if it is city government, national government has a responsibility and has a responsibility to ensure that city government gets it done. And some people don't have to be traumatized, or little girl, children don't have to be traumatized by big men throwing out their whap. That's what the boys call it, all over the place to urinate. It is an abomination, it's a burning shame. It speaks to the indecency of our society and the indecency of the people who govern this country. And those are the comments I want to make on that matter. Unfortunate that a former sitting minister of government got to be held before the court because he pissed at a street corner. What could have prevented that? And those are the things we have to address and talk about. The other thing is, I talk about being a visionary leader. You always have to be on your P's and Q's as a political opponent of the PPP. I said to several, the PPP will be watching the opposition like hawk to find people that they can accuse of similar excesses as Dharamlal. And if they can't find rape, then they could find indecent exposure or whatever they choose to label it. Caller, thank you for holding your life. That caller went. Patience is a virtue on this program. So the lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. And like we usually say, people get what they accept. And Guyanese accept the fact that you can't find a urinal around the city, public facility, that your state dollars pay for. Volume is low here. This voice note is very low. I wonder why. This sounds like Lorimer. If it is Lorimer, could you resend your voice note for me, please? I enjoy listening to them, but this one sounds rather low. The lines remain open. 6225933. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time with the host, Buxtonian Kidaki, Amsterdam. Call and let's talk the things. This one is very low. I'm trying to get it up, but I can't. Kindly resend that voice note. I would love to play it, but it doesn't have the volume that we require. Somebody is telling me here, Jillian, I think it's saying that she believes that there is one that was installed by the coalition. And let me tell you something. And you gotta understand the PPP. You know why a lot of those public conveniences were destroyed or not maintained under the PPP? Number one, to spite the city government. And number two, to put money in the people's pockets. How often have you gone around the city and realized that even if you go to the city mall, a public facility, even if you go to the city mall, a public facility, right? You got to pay $60 and $80 to use the washroom. Maybe $100 and $120 now, I'm not sure. I missed a call from somebody just now. Do you know that? You can't go to a business place as large as the city mall and use the washroom without charge. So customers going there to do business have to pay to patronize the business. You can't use the washroom. There are many other business places around the city you go and you ask them to use the washroom. It is never in order. What does the city bylaw say? What does the city bylaw say? There are bylaws, you know. Do they dictate that once you operate certain kinds of business, you're supposed to have access to the public to washroom facilities? Does the city engineer and the health department investigate to ensure that these bylaws are followed? I'm just asking things that somebody needs to ask, perhaps. I keep telling you, I'll call the WhatsApp number. Don't call the number straight. Y'all like great work for me, man. Call A Live. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Hello?
Yes, caller.
I tried getting WhatsApp for like for 15 minutes. I'm not getting WhatsApp. That's why I called straight. Anyhow, you could talk, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, who made it? Yeah. Good morning to one and all. Hello? Yes. Um,
Call all the line on WhatsApp, please.
it's called,
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
yeah, it's called public convenience. And
Man, this caller listening to yourself. I try to explain to y'all. Listen, when you call, sometimes I'm jittery, you know. Sometimes I can be very crotchety. I'm big now, you know. Call your live, good morning. Call your live, good morning. Caller, are you there? Caller? Caller? I don't know what's going on this morning, but y'all gonna figure it out. The lines remain open. No fault of mine, whatever the technical difficulties are. You know there are rules to follow. If you don't follow the rules, we will get trouble. Call it live.
Hi, Karaki. Good morning to you and your listeners. And I first want to extend happy emancipation to all of your listeners and yourself and Dr. Hines. And I would just want to ask if you can provide us with the dates of your activities that are to be held on the Buxton Day and so forth. So,
Okay, the 31st of July. That's Emancipation Eve. The libation starts at about 6 o'clock in front of the Buxton Market where the African Emancipation Monument is. That's Company Road,
yeah.
just over the line. And then at 8 in the evening, 20 hours, the cultural, the Black is Beautiful cultural evening starts on the Buxton line top, close to Midwalk.
Thank you.
On the 10th of August, there is a UC Kwajalein Symposium. And I've just added that on the 11th, between the 11th and the 13th, we're going to be hosting a cultural camp for our young people.
All right. Thank you so much, Kadaki. And is there somewhere that I can make my donations to?
Yes, Dr. Hines has something on his program accepting donations. You can also send your donations to me, and they will get to the right place.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
God, you're welcome. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. You're tuned to the Guyanese morning time. And again, I'm repeating, please call the WhatsApp. Call it live. Good morning.
good morning, Brother Kiraki, and good morning to the rest of Guyana, Guyanese overseas and in Guyana. It's a very, I can say that it's a very trying time for the PPP in Guyana, and the days are numbered in government. When you can look at a simple issue of a man trying to relieve himself on the side of the road, what did they wanted the man to go and wet himself? I mean, it's not appropriate to be urinating on the street corner like that, but when something hold you, buddy, you got to go. It's like, you know, you will tell you, look, I gotta go, it happens. I mean, I'm saying that on the part of the really should, you know, try to like, we think they got rules who can put themselves in his position at that time. You know what I mean? And I endorse what you said this morning, Brother Kidaki, that we ought to be very circumspect of what we do in the public, because once you come up against any simple thing, they will look for you. They're going to come at you with anything. They're so afraid, they're so ashamed of it, our lawless you. And let me say, it isn't gone as yet. It will arise again. They're so ashamed of it. You know, David didn't try not to with any little job. All he did was try to relieve himself, you know, and they take it and blow it out of proportion. And I'm calling on all Guyanese, wherever you are in Guyana, to find out where that matter is being called and show up there and show your support for David Patterson, you know, whichever court it is. Over there, show your support for him. This man is a decent man. And he was caught in
Follow the
a
line.
situation. Hello?
Go ahead, I'm listening to you, sir.
Yes, he was caught in a situation where he had to release himself. So I'm stressing the point again. Let's turn up wherever that court is being held and show their support for our member of parliament, David Policy. Thank you very much and have a nice rest of the day, everyone.
Thank you. Call it live. Good morning.
Yeah, bless good morning to you, Mr. Kadaki and Guyana. Mr. Kadana, to all the African happy emancipation, all the Guyanese, a matter of fact, happy emancipation, because emancipation is not only that African emancipate, but people should be emancipated in total general. And I want to compliment you on what you tried to expound upon just now, a little before. I mean, all humble and due respect to Mr. Patterson and everybody, but these things happen so is to remind you that when you get back into position, if you get back into certain position, that you know what is missing and what is lacking and put these things in place. It's amazing that when you go on the whole of Georgetown, which is the capital, you could hardly find any kind of public convenience or anything. Sometimes I wonder, only the other day I tell them my trainer, I say, wonder how women this make out. I myself is guilty of enough time going also if you look to some bush area or something, because sometimes it's more than you and you can't hold it in or keep it in. So you got to find some way to relieve yourself, and there's no way. I'm talking about urinate there more or less. And so sometimes, but what I'm saying, even though if you're going to urinate, you got to be extra careful that where you're going, your body is not be exposed to the public at the same time. And I like, for example, Mr. Pato, you should think and know a little bit. I mean, you went on there a little sweet drink or a little bit in between you or something. But you're supposed to know that these people in there like vouch up on every single body who's standing up for righteousness. That's what wickedness does. Wickedness attack righteousness. And righteousness don't attack wickedness. But righteousness expose wickedness. And by exposing wickedness, wickedness already know that righteousness is a threat. You don't gotta do nobody nothing wrong. You don't gotta say nothing wrong. You don't gotta, all you gotta do is stand up for what is right, declare what is right, share what is right, and you become an enemy. Anyone who doing evil or they're in the negative, they see you as an enemy. Automatically you're an enemy. And for those things of the rich people and wealthy people, and these things where people looking at people material achievement or the achievement for categorize them and say they're this, some of the most scared people and evil-minded people, I them say wealthy people, you know, they were can't stop in front of the yard, they know of us. If the guy know the road and somebody look at them, they know because why? The mind and the heart thinking that so much they got somebody, I always want what they got. And that's why the word of God even explain. It's more easy for a camel pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man enter into the kingdom of God. Because where a man riches be, there's where his heart is be, and there's where his mind is be. When God bless a person, it's to become a blessing to others. That's what blessing is. So even if you're rich or you're wealthy, you would find pleasure in sharing that wealth and rich among the needy and those who are less fortunate. That will gain you joy and pleasure, not to see people suffering and you can't give out a helping hand. But so I want the nation to also understand. And people who know about who's read Bible, check Ephesians 6:10 and like go down. You can understand the battle going on, how the battle must be fought and all these things. So Mr. Kadaki, as I said before, you are a blessing and your program are a blessing. One thing I'm observing with you, like I seem to be a little, I'm not saying you're bad, but it's giving that impression of like when these critics and these people come and throwing their remark, they spend too much time on them. To hell was them, they are blocked, they are obstacle. You rebuke them, you expose them in a short period of time and move on. You don't got the energy and the substance for ways behind them because that's what they want. If they can say something and make you delay or make you turn to what they're saying, you know almost thing you miss out from educating people and enlightening people, and that's what they are doing. Some of them is there for that purpose. Imagine with the past men, so when they urinate, just imagine a talk show host done had that on his program before this man even charged, before everything. The body who take out the picture, don't sell it to him. He don't say he got to get charged, you can get charged, and this kind of evil is going on. So you find that it's a relay system of wickedness that is taking place throughout the country. And that's what the word of God said, the thorn and the wheat shall grow together. All Guyanese got to be careful as don't identify the thorns and know who are wheat, and be careful that the thorns don't wrap around and choke the strength of the life out of you. And that is what goes on. But don't matter what go on in life, if you stand up for righteousness, that is where the Almighty, the Most High God, stand for righteousness. Those that worship Him in what? In spirit and in truth. They ain't got no other way that people could worship God. And to the beautiful sister, what's your name? We was talking a little more earlier, Sister Rhonda. Beauty, you know, I'm just reminding you, and the rest of the guys, beauty is in the personality of an individual, in the attitude, the behavior, the character. Not because they dress up outside and they got this and got it. So don't be bad over them nonsense with the talking. Only when a tree got fruit, little by a text stick and pelt them. And that's the reason why you're under attack. Because why? You are a light, and light extinguish darkness. So have a blessed day, Guyana. We are getting there. We will get there. We continue the righteousness of God. Have a blessed day. And I once again, happy emancipation to everybody.
Thank you for your call. Now it appears that there's a glitch with the WhatsApp. It's basically ringing once and cut off apparently. But keep trying, because we welcome your calls. And if you can't call me, I can call you. Right? You just got an answer. Call A Live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki.
Good morning to you.
Listeners. I was saying, you stole my thunder because I was about to ask, or I should say that there aren't very many facilities for the public to utilize in Guyana. What the government did with that was to highlight the fact that a nation that is supposed to be oil producing and the fastest growing economy and all of that, they have just highlighted another ill to the people of Guyana. Georgetown is a big place, and as far as I know, there aren't very many facilities for human usage. So I was about to talk about that. I don't know, but is there a company that does rentals for the toilets and stuff like that? Because I was thinking that it doesn't have to be one individual. If a group of persons in a particular area could come together and rent one of those, it could avoid situations like that. I'm not sure, I'm just saying. Now, the minister was in the forefront for that protest, and I believe that he's being targeted because of that. We as Guyanese have to stay on the ball for things like that. I'm not saying he did the right thing, but I'm saying that other persons do that all the time, and you don't hear anything about no $200,000 bail. What is that? Now, my next issue is about leaders, our leaders. I believe that if you do not want to be led, then you should not take up a position of leadership, because at some stage you will have to take instructions from somebody. So the fact that you are placed in a position and you cannot even be trusted, you should not be there. I have a way of saying that if you are being paid by the people of Guyana, or I should say the coffers of the people of Guyana, then you should know that you have to take instructions. You cannot be there if it was not for the people. So if you cannot work for the people, I think you need to go home. That's all I have to say, Mr. Kadaki.
Thank you very much for your call. And I agree with you. If you can't represent the people you're supposed to represent, pack up, travel. As I said, you can't feel eat in the kitchen, get out. The lines we made home 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. It's Free Talk Friday. Call and let's say what you want to talk about. The PPP and all them call it them. All them who sit in an office and not doing justice by the people, they got you going back to basics.
Trinidad Rio, back to basics. Merry New Year.
Caller live, good morning. Caller, you live, good morning.
Good morning. Hello?
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, boss. How you doing? Good morning, Cam's family. The thing that you're trying to, you're talking about just now with the public convenience, is at the one at the Port Ground. There was a very infamous situation with one of the sitting ministers years ago. You know the minister. We all know the minister who was involved in that story. It involved little boys. So anyhow, away from that, there's a lady that's called earlier, and she was talking about the reasons why she wasn't coming to Guyana back in back in the days, because she lived abroad and she thought to herself, in Guyana there's nothing really going on there. It's all slums and so on. That's what she thought to herself back then, before she started coming again. There's a lot of people that live outside of Guyana feel the same way, and to those people, I would like to tell them that you can't just stay up from outside and thinking and saying to yourself that that's a slum. There's no progression. There's nothing like that. You have to put your input. Your input is needed. You have to contribute. You don't have to come here to experience it right now, but you could contribute otherwise. There's things like these programs here. There's political parties and other movements and so on that are people centered and that have the country at the heart. Those places you could contribute towards, and it will funnel down to the country to do the development that you're looking for. And to those same people in those countries that you live in, what do you think? Who do you think that has caused all this development in these countries? It's people like you, because you're paying taxes in those countries and you're contributing to those economies and developing them. So why don't you try to develop your economy by virtually? You don't have to come here. Let's look at the state. Let's look at the situation like as in Israel. Israel has one of the most stable economies in the Middle East, and a very large percentage of that country's economic input comes from outside of Israel, comes from mainly the U.S. government and Israelis living in the diaspora. So that's just an example to show how the people in the diaspora who don't want to come back to the country because they think it is all about they could contribute right now. And I really do think they should contribute through like the WPA and these programs and so on towards the country, and stop thinking to yourself that it's nothing. Because like I said, I've met lots of people outside of Guyana, all over the place, who has been visiting other countries, even countries as close as Suriname and Trinidad and so on, and they've not come to Guyana for donkey years because they think to themselves Guyana is nothing. but those people should start contributing towards the development of the people. Not necessarily because the government have the money to develop the country. I mean, they do it in their own strange way, but the people need developing as well. And I think that us in diaspora should be contributing towards that cause. That's my speech.
Thank you. Chaka said no toilet in town. Thank you for the viewer who sent it.
This is Caribbean Vibe.
Ragunanan from Sipari, forgot he to.
Call it live.
Everybody got China with drug dealer.
Call it what?
Everybody got China with drug dealer.
Some nonsense about drug dealer. I don't know what this man saying.
And came to town in a hurry, and there he got the urge. Right by Dr. Leon Frederick Road, Ragunanan put down the load. The police thought he was insane and asked him to explain. He said he all along ain't got no toilet, no toilet. I tell you, no toilet. Must span the whole along ain't got no toilet for Abu to exit. I try Calvatory, no toilet. Walk to Kobalani, no toilet. I run into Bata, no toilet. Go by White in Lima, no toilet. Must span the whole along ain't got no toilet. No toilet for a man to spit. Charge Ragunanan for indecent action, and for Ragu, well, he was brought to the 6th Police Court. He took the oath on the witness stand with the Quran in his right hand, and to the charge of indecency Ragu plead not guilty. He said he all a town ain't got no toilet, no toilet. I tell you, no toilet. Must man the whole a town ain't got no toilet for Ragu to exit. Maras brothers grant me, no toilet. The Mall brothers run me, no toilet. Republic Bank shun me, no toilet. So I run to Nawani, no toilet. Must man the whole a town ain't got no toilet. No toilet for a man to spit.
All on the line. Call it live. Good morning.
Yeah, Kadaki, good morning. Good morning, Guyanese. I hope you guys are watching how they're cozying up to the Chinese, right? A dictatorial country, right? And when they start implementing the same policies like China, I hope Guyana, the Guyanese people, are comfortable with that, all right? You guys are sitting back and you guys are letting this government move towards a dictatorial system. That's what the Chinese do. That's how they govern. All right? And they're making close friends, making close ties with these type of systems. That's what they wanted. They're already doing it. All right? They're already doing it, and we're sitting back and watch it happen. All right? US is pushing back against that around the world. Pushing back against the Chinese. Guyanese citizens are not pushing back. We sitting back and watching. All right, so we gotta stand up and we gotta push back. Let them turn around, move away from the Chinese government. We don't need that. You guys know it. You guys know you don't need a Chinese up in there with that type of system. You guys know it, right? So please, Guyanese, you guys know better. We know better, right? We gotta push back on that Chinese influence. All right, that's it. That's my contribution for today. Love you guys. Bye.
Thank you for your call. Lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. 4 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour.
The court informed the prisoner, next time you come to town.
This is Caribbean Vibe.
At Henry Street and Woodford Square, 2 toilets can be found. Like who told them, sir, them 2 toilets covered with worms like latrine pits. The balls pack up with newspaper. I could get herpes there. Boss man, the whole of town ain't got no toilet. I tell you, no toilet, no toilet. Boss man, the whole of town ain't got no toilet. For a who to NC. They live by the corner. Telephone had no paper. Great Fires Church close up. Cinderella shoe shop. Boss man, the whole of town ain't got no toilet. No toilet for a man to sit.
Caller, you like good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. A blessed good morning to you and all of Guyana. Happy emancipation. And I do hope that we all emancipate ourselves from the mental slavery of the PPP. We have to be on the ball and not off the ball. They get an old saying, all dog got a day. And the PPP feel that they don't have a day. But a time gonna come, what go wrong just come wrong. And let her wait for that time. Especially with that evilous, vindictive, wicked mind Barajak Dio that they got in the place. And the judiciary system got to learn that when you see you take up evilness and what the PPP direct you to do, evil things gonna visit your doorstep. They don't feel that the wall is run by the PPP. God is watching us and He's gonna help us out of this struggle. Just that time. We just have to get patient and continue good works. And once again, happy emancipation. You have a blessed day. And continue with the works. Thank you.
Caller. It's now a minute to 9 o'clock. It's a minute to 9 o'clock. Tonight is karaoke night at Club Twilight. Come down. Is it Albert Smith? Hey Smithy, what's going on? I hope you're bringing the whole crew this afternoon. Come let me sing some karaoke, bye. Call here live, good morning. Caller, you're live, good morning. Caller, you're live, good morning. Lost that one. Yes, Smith, it's karaoke night at Club Twilight tonight. Come on down. Sing your throats out. Have some fun. Beautiful atmosphere. Refreshed atmosphere. Affordable drinks. Everything is on fleek, as I like to say. Come on down and let's have a good time. Remember, the 1st of August movement, along with its partners, will be hosting the libation ceremony on July 31st at the Buxton Market Square at the African Emancipation Monument there. It starts at about 18 hours. Come on down and reconnect with your ancestors. Witness the libation pouring and so on. And then on the same 31st of July, at about 20 hours, the Black is Beautiful Cultural Evening is on the Buxton line, top close to the Church of God Road there. So come on down. And look out for the cook-up stall. We got a cook-up stall for you. I got a cook-up stall for you. All those of you who like obstacle cook-up, come, you're going to get some good obstacle cook-up. If you like it with salt meat, you're going to get it with salt meat. If you like it with chicken and beef and chicken foot and say, you're going to get that too. And you're going to get some fried fish on top and so on. You're looking for some sorrel? Come, you're going to get some good sorrel. And some marby too. So come to Buxton on the night of the 31st. You're going to get all those things you've been longing for. And you're going to get some good reconnection with your ancestors and your ancestral roots and things. Good? So start saving your money and come and get some good obstacle cook-up on the line top and so on and so forth, right? I welcome you. On the 27th of August, we're going to have the Kwekwe party right here at Club Twilight. Kwekwe party, Club Twilight, come down and have some fun. Cheryl Pancham, we started karaoke at 6. At least we strive to start it at 6. So those of you who have to come early and leave early because you want, the secret get out, you can come in time for 6. We should be ready by 6 this evening again. And so you're going to have some good time. Come on down. Good. I want to leave you. Someone has sent me a song that they want played by special request, dedicated to somebody special that they're not telling me who it is. But it's Free Talk Friday, is our program. So what do? We do what we have to do, right? Oh, in fact, they said they're setting the mood for tonight's karaoke. I don't know if you want to sing along. This is Otis Redding. These arms of mine.
They are lonely, lonely and feeling blue. These
good karaoke track.
They are yearning from wanting you. And if you would let them hold you, oh, how grateful I will be. These arms of mine, they are burning, burning from wanting you. These arms of mine, they are wanting to hold you. And if you would let them hold you, oh, how grateful I will be. Come on, baby. Just be my little woman. Just be my lover. Oh, I need me somebody to treat me right. Oh, I need your arms, loving arms to hold me tight. And I need your tender lips to hold me. I've got dreams, dreams to remember. I've got dreams, dreams to remember. Honey, I saw you there last night. Another man's arms holding you tight. Nobody knows what I feel inside. All I know, I walked away and cried. I've got dreams, dreams to remember. Listen to me. I've got dreams, rough dreams, dreams to remember. I know you said he was just a friend, but I saw him kiss you again and again. These eyes of mine, they don't fool me. Why did he hold you so tenderly? I've got dreams, dreams to remember. Listen, honey. I've got dreams, rough dreams, dreams to remember. I still want you to stay. I still love you anyway. I don't want you to ever leave. Girl, you just satisfy me. Ooh-wee. I know you said he was just a friend, but I saw you kiss him again and again. These eyes of mine, they don't fool me. Why did he hold you so tenderly? I've got dreams, dreams to remember. Listen to me, mama. I've got dreams, bad dreams, dreams to remember. Don't make me suffer. Don't let me. I've got dreams, rough dreams, bad dreams, bad dreams to remember. I found a woman I felt I truly loved. She was everything I'd ever been dreaming of, but she was bad, I didn't know it. Her pretty smile never did show it. All I knew is what I could see, and I knew I wanted her for me. Took her home to mama. Mama wanna see my future bride. Oh, she looked at us both, and then she called me to her side. She said, son, take time to know that it's not an overnight thing. Take time to know that. Please don't rush into this thing. But I didn't listen to mama. I went straight to the church. I just couldn't wait to have a little girl of mine. When I got off from work, the preacher was there, so was my future bride. He looked at us both and he called me to his side.
Take time to know it's not an overnight fling. Take time to know. Please don't rush into this thing, but it looked like everything's gonna turn out alright. Then I came home one night, and there she was kissing on another.